Boom! How did we get there? How did we get there? Good question, man. How did we get there? Throughout history, humans have struggled to find calories. Thousands of years ago, when we lived outdoors, we didn't always know when or where we find our next meal. We find our next meal. Our bodies held on to extra weight in order to protect us from famine. This is because when our hunter-gatherer gardener ancestor, and this goes right up to a few hundred years ago, found sources of fat or sugar, it meant survival. It meant they could carry forward their genetic line. It's not your fault, says Christiane Northrup, MD, a best-selling author and an expert on women's health. You're programmed to put on fat wherever there is food available. This is how we are as mammals. We lived on the earth for millennia where there was food shortage. But now there is a lot of food available, but it's the wrong kind. And so we've been programmed for millennia to store up for the winter, but the winter doesn't come. The human body comes with a ready-made fat programs, according to John Gabriel, a weight loss expert and international best-selling author of the Gabriel method, because these programs protect us against famines. The human body, he says, evolved to survive during the famine or a cold winter or whatever kind of stress. What this means is your body is designed to hold extra weight during a period of stress. And if you go through a stress today, your body will hold on to an extra 10 pounds to protect itself. That's true too. Because our bodies are biologically adapted to store fat, we continue to seek out calories, particularly fats and sugar. If we taste something fatty, for instance, or something sweet, the body sends us an immediate signal that says, yes, I want more of this. Craving these food is perfectly normal. So when we bite into a burger or take a sip of a milkshake, and we taste those fats and those sugar again, our bodies tells us to eat because they are used to living in an environment where there is feast and famine. The problem today, says Daniel Vitalis, a leading health nutrition and personal development strategist, is we've got feast like nobody's business. We just don't have any famine. We have an almost unlimited supply of calorie sources. And this is where we run into problems. We're eating too much of the wrong foods. And that's what keeps us also in a perpetual state of unconsciousness, as we eat bad food and the wrong food. If you look around the world, we see that human beings have been able to inhabit the whole plane. He says the whole globe, but I have no proof so far that it's a globe. So you see, that's another unconscious thing we repeat. Like, you might be very conscious with food, but very unconscious of where you live. You know, our state, the level of the truth varies with our level of awareness, because look, these are people that obviously are very awake about food. They wrote a book. But on the other end, look what I read here. If we look around the world, we see that human beings have been able to inhabit the whole globe. They've been able to do it on a host of different foods, from the extreme Arctic, where people have eaten almost exclusively animal fat and muscle and organ meats, to the jungle, where people had access to far more fruits and plant material. One of the things we see in the food of today's hunter-gatherer gardener people is that it contains an extremely high amount of nutrition and an extremely low amount of calories. says Vitalis. We see people thriving and people staying lean and healthy and avoiding degenerative disease and not putting on extra weight, regardless of what and how much they eat. We see people living in harmony with their ecosystem and their bodies. Today our diet no longer resembles that. Our so-called modern foods contain a very high number of calories and a very low amount of nutrition. We no longer eat the food we're biologically adapted to. The simple foods, plant foods, fruit, nuts, seeds, vegetables. We've gone from living off our natural, like you see, they don't see the satanic ritual behind eating meat. I would never encourage anybody anymore to eat meat. What's an unhealthy diet? You are what you eat. It's a saying as old as written history. But before we can even talk about the consequences of unhealthy food choices for a nation, we have to engage in some honest talk about what is considered an unhealthy diet. The U.S. Department of Agriculture wants Americans to eat more of everything, more dairy, more meat, more grains, and even more sugar. To its mind, poor nutrition just means people are eating enough dairy, meats, grain, and sugar. The USDA remains stuck in the mindset of the 1930s, when people were literally starving from a lack of calories. So the USDA policy insteadly remains eat more. Incessantly remains eat more. But Americans don't need to eat more. They need to eat less, a lot less, and especially less of the highly toxic, disease-promoting food described below. According to Mike Adams, researcher and founder of naturalnews.com, these are the main characteristics of an unhealthy diet. Primarily consists of dead foods, cooked, microwave, etc. Primarily consists of refined grains, milled, bleached, etc. Lack large quantity of fresh living fruits and vegetables. Avoids adequate water hydration and focus on manufactured beverages. Is very high in processed sugar and processed carbohydrate. Contains genetically modified foods such as corn and soy, and sugar from GM sugar beets. Includes a large amount of hormones laden and pasteurized conventionally dairy products such as cow milk. Is made with hundreds of different chemical food additives from MSG and aspartame to chemical preservative. Is packaged in toxic containers including plastic and epoxy resins that contaminate the food with bisphenol A, BPA. Primarily consists of conventionally grown pesticide contaminated. Contain a large quantity of unhealthy oils such as corn, soy, or partially hydrogenated oils. Consist of a large number of fried foods and foods cooked at a very high temperature. Refined sugars. The refining process removes the minerals. Homogenize milk, fats, and so on. Consist of a large quantity of factory farm and factory fed animal products. Yeah. One of the biggest causes of obesity is addiction. One of the biggest causes of obesity is addiction. People simply can't stop eating food they know are bad for them. We all understand addiction to cigarettes. We all understand addiction to alcohol. But we don't yet fully understand addiction to food. Even though the food industry knowingly adds addictive chemicals into our food, not unlike how the tobacco industry knowingly added nicotine to cigarettes, in order to make them addictive. The food industry engineers addictions into many of our foods. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry with the scientific resources and the wherewithal to identify what tastes good to the average consumer and then manufacture chemical derivatives of that flavor into our food. Those chemical derivatives often include an addictive component.